We are Epic, Epic Alpha, Bravo, and Delta, and don't you forget Charlie does not exist. My name is acbtheman, and you are listening to Radio Epic. Episode 17, and this time I asked before we started, so I definitely know it's episode 17. Tonight we have David Allen 353. How you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good.
And we have PhD Shanigan. Doc, what's up?
Oh, not too much. How about yourself?
Oh, nothing much. Just had a pretty uneventful and pretty crappy day. So let's record a great podcast. So first off, guys, did you burn your eyes out looking at that eclipse today?
Only one.
Only one? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good.
I mean, I stared at it for a good while, but I think my eyes are going to do okay. It was kind of cloudy around here.
It's only supposed to drive you crazy, right? Anyways, isn't it? Insanity.
My boss had a whole bunch of those ISO rated glasses and let us see it all for a little bit. It was pretty cool. But living in Arkansas, I was a little off of where the path was going through. So it looked like someone had just put sunglasses on the world. And I was like, oh, that's a neat effect. and then I was like, wait, should I be caring more about this? Because it only happens like every so often. And probably the only time I'm ever going to see it essentially almost total solar eclipse in my lifetime. And then I started thinking about other things, and it got me distracted from pushing carts. And then I said, I should probably just push these carts. So, anyways, so this sort of dates the podcast, but it was fun and interesting. And the reason we're spending so much time on this at the beginning, because there's not really a lot to talk about this week. There's definitely some things that we could talk about, like they went to Gamescom, but they're essentially just hyping up Destiny 2, different things like that. But today we had a launch trailer put out on the PlayStation channel for Destiny 2, and we got to see the speaker is alive, and old Gary has him. So first off, guys, this trailer is so awesome. Did both of y'all get to see it?
Did, yeah. It's it's a little dark too.
Very, very. But think about this. Look at all of the sort of cutscene glimpses we got. Look at all of the story that they're already implying. Spoiler alert, by the way. If you've been listening to these podcasts, you probably should know that. But the trailer essentially was saying that we are going to try to regroup and try to battle our way back against him. And they said something about an all-out assault would be bad, and so I don't know if that's what they're doing, or I don't know if we're trying to think of something different. But we gotta look at new sparrows. We gotta look at the essentially the tank from Destiny 1. The sort of, what was that thing called? The ship thing with the turrets. I don't know. It wasn't the sparrow, but it was the other thing that we got to drive.
Yeah, there's the Pike and the Interceptor.
Yeah, we got to see both of those. We got to just see new just gameplay elements. The one cool thing that I saw that was probably just in a cutscene is Ikora was on a sparrow and she shot a shotgun.
Oh, I saw that too.
Can we shoot things from a sparrow? It would be so nice, but I doubt it.
Yeah, it's nice to see a nice heavy emphasis on vehicles, which hopefully carry through to the game, whereas in Destiny 1 the vehicles were just kind of a way from get to point A to point B faster, because there wasn't much to do between random points on the map.
And the other vehicles were like, hey, here's your big vehicle map for PvP that you will play for twice, and that's it. Well, it's just the biggest thing I saw about this trailer was that there is going to definitely be a ton more story. We're bringing back all of the Vanguard members, and then we have to find a way to take out Gaul and find a way, hopefully, we don't know, but find a way, hopefully, to get the speaker back. I don't know. The speaker's always been a mystery to me. It's probably somewhere in those Grimoire cards, that I never read, but it's very interesting that the speaker is alive and that Gaul is keeping him alive. And I wonder if that, just because of his title of the speaker, if Gaul thinks there's some sort of way of tapping into the Traveler's power through him. I don't know. It was very cool to start off with that and be like, hey, look, he's alive. Go deal with it. And you're like, oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping for a more interesting narrative arc where the speaker actually turns out to be evil, but as it seems from the trailer, it seems like he's being held against his will by Gaul, so that narrative arc probably isn't happening.
Yeah, you never
Maybe,
know.
maybe not yet, but it does look.
Just gonna say, you never know. I mean, obviously, if he's being held, he's not just a regular dude who happened to put on a mask. There's definitely a lot more to his backstory than we've seen in Destiny 1 and anything they've led on to in D2. If he's being held by someone like Dahl, who very obviously has his shit together.
Well, even in the Zavala trailer, he had a mask on, so I don't know. It's interesting. It was a very cool trailer to see. Um, just see something new, and I don't know. They were able to draw more hype to the game, even though it's what 2 weeks away essentially. And I know they want to push all the way through until the actual launch, but I think that's very very cool that they dropped something today and said, "Hey, look at this." So before, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, definitely, it seems like they're kind of in a lull because they've pretty much wrapped up the console beta. The PC beta is coming next week, and they need to release something this week, so they decided to release the trailer.
Surprised it didn't release more pre-order bonuses. So, before we started, before we started this podcast, we were talking a couple of things. Um, so this is from a technical standpoint, and I'm not 100% sure of everything that I've read, but you were saying that there is SLI support and a couple other things. First off, we'll start with that. What is SLI support?
So SLI support is essentially you can combine the power of two NVIDIA graphics cards into a single card. So you can technically double your power. It's not, you don't get all the doubling of the power, but you can essentially increase the power beyond what you have. So right now, the top of the line gaming graphics card is a 1080 Ti. You can essentially, if you buy two 1080 Ti's, you can put a bridge between them and essentially double your power.
But aren't those like $800 cards or something like that? If I understand correctly.
SLI setups are only for the highest of highest end computers. In general, the advice for buying a computer is buy the best single graphics card you can, because you never get double performance from SLI.
Gotcha.
But it's from a technical standpoint, it's kind of interesting because Nvidia's been moving away from SLI in recent years, and AMD dropped their equivalent, which is called Crossfire, from the Vega, I believe. So it's interesting that they talked about it, but it doesn't matter except for the highest of highest end computers. Another thing that they announced.
I got a question with that then. What is that going to increase? So if you were, and not even with the SLI, but like if you have the highest end computer, even without that, what is that going to increase on your end? Is it frame rate? Is it just frame rate? Is it frame rate and something else? And then I have a question about frame rate too.
Yeah, it allows you to. So in computers, you have a lot more customization. So you always have a trade off between like texture quality, resolution, and frame rate. And so right now, where the 1080 Ti is sitting, you can pretty much get 4K 60 frames per second in just about any game. But if you want to push at higher frame rates than 60, or I don't, there's not even monitor supports it, but higher resolutions, if you want to do like super sampling for anti-aliasing, you can do that. But again, this is the highest of highest end computers, the $2,500 plus rigs.
Well, and then I also have a question. So, what is the point of having more than 60 frames per second? Because definitely there are some games that I've seen at 60 frames, even on console, that look fantastic, and I understand the difference between 30 and 60, and going between them, I can see that. 30 is okay with me for right now, but that's just me personally because I played a lot of Destiny 1. But if you get to the 60 on the PC and you go beyond that, what is the benefit of moving beyond 60?
That's a great point. I don't see the benefit. My reaction time's not what is for top tier players. For very hardcore players, the human body is capable of sensing a little faster than 60 frames per second, so it does look a little smoother at 144 frames, which is the current standard for the fastest monitors. But again, it's really high end machine, so it's probably 70 or 80% bragging rights.
Okay, okay. Well, like I said, it really doesn't affect me that much. I played a ton of Destiny 1. I think it looks fantastic. But, of course, looking next to Destiny 2 and then looking next to Destiny 2 on PC, Destiny 1 looks pretty bad. I can even admit that. But just go. And you had one more thing to say. What is HDR and why does it matter that it's not on console at launch?
It's mostly surprising that's not on console launch. What HDR is essentially you have a certain range of colors that you can see on your screen. HDR is high dynamic range, so you can essentially see more colors. And so what it really does is it gets more contrast in light and dark. So there's more detail in the dark parts of the screen, more detail in the light parts of the screen, rather than having your darks being just basically black and with no depth, with no details, and your whites being just white with no details. It's interesting because they said they're going to have it on PC when it launches, but they're not going to have it on console when it launches, despite the fact that both the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One S and now the Xbox One X will support HDR. But that's mostly just a interesting thing that they said they're not going to have. I think there's been rumors about this for a while. It's just been finally confirmed.
Well, they may have a patch for it, but I don't know. So I mean, for me in an old school Xbox one of the originals, even if they had the patch, it wouldn't matter. But for those who have adopted the like Xbox S and the PS4 Pro, it's weird that they don't have it, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like something that would be too difficult. I don't know the background. I don't know the technical details for actually developing it, but it doesn't seem like it would be that too hard to port it from the PC to the console. So they might just be releasing it as a patch later. The other thing that was announced on the technical side was Nvidia announced they're going to have what they call a game ready driver ready for the PC beta, which basically means the software that runs on your computer that interfaces between your computer and your graphics card, the operating system and your graphics card, is going to have optimizations built in for Destiny 2. And so that will help a lot of people. Basically, it makes it run smoother on all NVIDIA graphics cards, which is a nice quality thing.
So people who are new to PC gaming can buy an Nvidia card and know that Destiny 2 is going to look fantastic on their machine.
Right. So it was running before they had. I mean, with their demos, they had it running. Just doing the what they call a game ready driver means they have looked at the game, optimized the driver, tweaked it a bit, and made sure that it runs smoother. So you'll get a few more frames or less stutter, regardless of what cards you have, which is just a nice thing to do.
All right. Well, that sounds very good. And I'm glad you understand a little bit of this more than I do because I don't understand a lot of this. That's why I play console most of the time, actually. Anyways, so is there really anything else that was newsworthy? Anything out of Gamescom? Anything that we're missing? No other exclusives or no other promotions that have come out of nowhere? No new like baby diaper promotion where if you buy certain branded diapers, you get a ghost, like a diaper ghost or something.
No, there was I did see a Russian voice actor was announced for the Russian translation, which in itself isn't interesting, but he has a new character that kind of sounds like he has an interesting story arc. But there's not too many details, and it was translated from Russian, which I don't speak Russian, so I didn't read the article.
Well, guys, if you're listening to this podcast, it sounds like we have essentially run out of things to talk about. Well, for Destiny 2, yes. and we will wind up getting more into Destiny 2 as we have more things to talk about, more things to do. But guys, is there anything y'all would like to pimp out or tell people about here at the end?
Not that I can think of.
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I looked at it. I did see that Rockstar Energy. If you're in the UK, Rockstar Energy drinks apparently are down to 50 pence, which is 65 cents in the US. So if you want that nice XP boost, it's only 50 cents in the UK, or 50 pence in the UK.
So call your UK buddy, have them buy a bunch, and then ship it internationally is what I'm saying,
Yeah.
right? That's definitely cost
It's
effective, right?
Yes, definitely. For that 2 hours of 20% XP
like
boost
30
or
bucks
whatever
in
it
shipping.
is.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, hey.
Yeah. If you
Well,
buy enough, they'll work it.
Well, yeah, you just gotta just buy in bulk, right? Right, just buy in bulk. Well, guys, I do have something quick to pimp out. So, we're starting, and I don't know why I can't think of another word. What's the other word? It's not pimp out. Oh, anyways, tell you about. So, when Destiny 2 starts up, it's gonna be a little bit of a challenge for me to get the Sunday night, sort of Sam, the slightly above mediocre stuff coming back. We will do it, but it may not be Sunday night. It may be Sunday afternoon. It may be Monday morning. Who knows? It may be sometime that's not quite Sunday nights, just due to new job, new moving situation, new state I'm living in, that kind of deal. So what I have started is I have started analyzing footage that people send me and just making a slightly above mediocre channel. What we're doing with the slightly above mediocre in Destiny 2 is we're going to pull in people, group people up in fours and have them play, and hopefully somebody who's good at the Crucible will be with them, and then everyone will kind of talk about what they're doing, how to get better, specifically talking about how to get better at PvP and not just having a good time with your buddies. That's always great, but we're going to specifically talk about how to get better. Well, what I'm doing with this YouTube series is I'm just looking at either full games or clips, and I'm going to be analyzing it and saying how I think it could have been better or what went great about it, different things like that. Then hopefully, if it gets big enough, we can have conversations in the comments, different things like that. But so if you would like to send that information, links or videos to me personally, it's samsundaypvp at gmail.com. That's SAMSUNDAY PVP at gmail.com. And so for all clan members and even non-clan members, this is just something you can do to say, hey, I want my footage featured, and I would like my footage analyzed to either say what things were great, because a lot of the 30-second clips I anticipating myself getting will be, hey, look at something cool, and I can look and tell you how cool it was. Or if you have a longer form video or something like that, I can look and say, oh, that didn't go well. What happened? What can we talk about? What can this person do better? What can I do better? And so that's the only thing I wanted to talk about tonight. And so, guys, let's see if this podcast can break the record for shortest podcast. I don't think it will, but we're getting pretty close. And, guys, we're just getting down to the wire of Destiny 2 coming out, and everyone's just super ridiculously excited. I'm one thing I do have to say, I'm seeing a lot of the super negative people kind of back down. They hit the beta and they back down, so that's a very good thing, in my opinion, guys. But anyways, any last words?
Much hype.